Welcome, everyone. We will go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining today's webinar, How Zigbee Pro 2023 Impacts Your Products. Now, just a couple of logistics before we dive in. This session will be recorded and made available on the Connectivity Standards Alliance website. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please submit them to the Q&A box. And at the end of the presentation, we'll open it up for that Q&A session. You can also reach out to us at help@csa-iot.org for any other questions. And at this point, I'm happy to introduce today's speakers. So with us today, we have Faisal Bayat. He's the Senior Software Architect with Silicon Labs and also the Chair of the Zigbee PRO Core Group. We also have Arash Honorbakht. He is the founder and CEO at Ubisoft Technologies and the Vice Chair of Zigbee Pro. And then Jeannie Peshkova. She is the President of the DSR Corporation and Chair of the Zigbee Marketing and Product Subgroup. And before I hand it over to them, here's a quick view of our agenda for the session. Today, we'll be going over an overview of Zigbee, introducing Zigbee Pro 2023, and Zigbee Pro 2023 security, Zigbee sub-gigahertz, the Pro 2023 additional security features, and Zigbee Direct. Then we will conclude with a summary and open it up for that Q&A session. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Jeannie to kick us off with an introduction to Zigbee.
Thank you. So Zigbee is the complete IoT solution. It includes both the mesh networking layer as well as the application layer, which really makes it different from other technologies on the market. Moving on. So Zigbee is a market-proven technology. It has been around for almost 2 decades, and there are billions of chipsets that have been sold worldwide. Even though it is a mature technology, it is continuing to evolve and improve, and there's ongoing new feature development, which can be seen with the Zigbee Pro 2023 release last year. Among many benefits that Zigbee offers, some of the ones that make sense to highlight is that it's very reliable and it has been proven on the market with just decades of development and improvements that have gone into it. It's really low power and has self-healing mesh. It is secure by design and it supports both 2.4 and sub-gigahertz PHY. It is ideal for all market segments, including residential, commercial, utility, and energy, and industrial. Additionally, we want to talk about how to build a Zigbee product. So because Zigbee is a full stack solution, it includes all the different layers, starting with IEEE radio with 802.15.4 physical and MAC layer. Those layers drive the communication over the low rate wireless network. Following next to above it is the network stack, which really delivers the connectivity and enables the features for the product layer. So one of the examples is the latest release of Zigbee Pro 2023, which we're discussing today. On top of that is the product implementation. It uses the common device type definition. So for example, a switch, a light bulb, etc., implements Zigbee functionality based on the features available in the network stack. So for example, in Zigbee Pro 2023. So when you're building a Zigbee product, you really start out by choosing your device type. So determining what specifically you're trying to build. Then you look at the specific platform that you are going to use. So it is recommended to use the latest platform available on the market, so Zigbee Pro 2023. From there, you have to look at the device properties, which are defined by the Zigbee cluster library. And that helps you identify the metadata and commands that are used for your specific device type that you chose. From there, the device behavior specification, so BDB specification, helps you understand the base functionality that should be implemented for that specific device. Once you have created your product implementation, you then validate your product using the Zigbee Unified Test Harness, and then you work with the certified test lab to actually certify your product. And finally, you have to apply with the Connectivity Standards Alliance to receive your product certification. So with that, I would like to introduce Zigbee Pro 2023. And Zigbee Pro 2023 really focused on a few different things. So one of the main focuses was security. And security is one of these things that continues to evolve. So that is something the Zigbee Working Group understands, and that is why there's such a large focus on that with this release. In addition, with Zigbee Direct, we've introduced control and onboarding simplification using Bluetooth Low Energy devices. So using a smartphone or smart speaker, having the ability to communicate directly to your Zigbee network. In addition, we've also expanded the 2.4 PHY with the SubGig support for North America and EU markets. And that really delivers increased signal strength and range that allows to reach around more places, whether it's a residential, for outdoor applications, for example, or attics, et cetera, and specifically also for commercial. And then last but not least, the smart energy. So because smart energy has very specific security requirements, previously the smart energy and Zigbee devices didn't communicate as well on the same networks. And now with the current implementation, Zigbee devices can directly communicate with smart energy devices. It's important to note that when we introduce the new features, one of the questions we often get, will Zigbee continue to be backwards compatible? And this is a promise that Zigbee made a long time ago, and we're going to continue to honor that promise. This particular diagram just wanted to show you all the evolution of the different technologies that comprise Zigbee and how they evolved over time. So as you can see, even though Zigbee 3.0 was the last product level release of Zigbee specification, there have been many improvements that have been made at the Zigbee compliant platform level. And in addition, features like green power and Zigbee technology like smart energy also continue to evolve. These technologies and their specifications are still being developed. New features are still being added, and excuse me, and Zigbee will remain backwards compatible with the new release of the Zigbee Pro 2023. And now I'd like to turn it over to Faisal to go through Zigbee Pro 2023 security features.
Thank you, Jeannie. Hey, everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar. Let's see. Right. Zigbee 2023 is our most security-focused release of recent times and starts addressing things from the ground up. Zigbee 2023 addresses modern-day security threats by updating mechanism to protect the network during onboarding and normal operation. With Zigbee 2023 and the right level of security, it is possible for smart energy and these new Zigbee devices to share the same network, improving control, extending the ecosystem to use energy devices within the residential and commercial infrastructure. The headline security features for Zigbee 2023 are dynamic link key, or DLK for short. DLK is a mechanism to perform two-way cryptographic exchange to derive a link key. It utilizes simple password exponential key exchange, SPEAK, using curve 25519 as the basis for negotiating a key if low entropy passwords or install codes are used. If a fixed password is used, then it drops to elective curve Diffie-Hellman ephemeral. Usage of unique password and install codes provides authentication and prevents man-in-the-middle attack. DLK mechanisms can be used during a device over-the-air upgrade to strengthen the security of the device and replace its commissioning key, or it can be used by new Zigbee 2023 devices before they become part of the network and get the network key. A complementary feature for DLK is device interview. This is only available during the initial commissioning and is a powerful feature which allows a trust center and a joiner to interrogate each other and decide whether, in case of the joiner, to continue joining the network, or in case of the trust center, to allow the joiner to join onto the network. It allows the filtering process by the Trust Center to prevent unauthorized devices joining the network. Trust Center Swapout allows replacing of current Trust Center without disrupting the active network. Restricted mode enables the Trust Center to control state changes on a Zigbee device. Zigbee 2023 mandates APS frame counter synchronization, key management improvements to support smart energy devices to work on a shared network, tighter control on channel and PAN ID changes, and quicker and efficient onboarding of devices on a hub-centric network. Dynamic link key. Let's have a look at how dynamic link key negotiation works. Here, I would like to take you through the full flow of the device being onboarded onto the network. Let's assume that the Trust Center and the joiner have pre-configured with some commissioning metadata like a passphrase or an install code. Okay, Zigbee 2023 brings in TLVs. TLV stands for tag length value encoding. This brings about flexibility and possibilities to allow inclusion of extendable payload fields to existing commands like beacons and network layer commands, and also other new commands introduced in this specification. As indicated here, the joiner sends a 802.15.4 beacon request broadcast searching for available networks. The Trust Center will send a beacon response with TLVs this time. The beacons are used to determine the presence of Zigbee network and whether the commissioning window is open. With Zigbee 2023, beacons now have beacon appendix, which allows the payload to be extended to include TLVs. A lot more information about the network can now be conveyed through these, like the DLK curves supported and if fragmentation is permitted. To make sure Zigbee 2023 is backwards compatible, the existing methods of joining and rejoining, like association request response, network join request response commands, are unchanged. So with that, we've got new commands, namely network commissioning request response are now available, which make it possible to convey a lot more information during joining of the network and determine if the network supports the right level of security the device expects before it joins the network. So with a network commissioning request, we have a response. This would normally give the short address the device should use onto the network. We have the APSME update command, which is basically a notification to the Trust Center that somebody is joining. And then you will find a whole host of these sort of commands, which I'll speak to in a minute. Right. Special relay messages carry tunnel data between the Trust Center and the joiner. New ZDO messages. So here, the ZDO key update key request, key response, start key negotiation response. These transport the Diffie-Hellman public data during the key pair negotiation process. This generates the secure material shared between the Trust Center and the joiner without exposing it to the outer world. Think of this agreement process as similar to the time-proven concept of TLS handshakes. Once the network commissioning has begun and the dynamic link key has been established, the Trust Center application can opt to query the joining device or the application endpoint with APS data request encrypted with the dynamic link key prior to authorizing the device onto the network. This period of message exchange is known as device interview. This is an optional step, which is determined here. It would be APS encrypted data flowing between the joiner and the Trust Center. Once the device interview process is completed and validated, the device can then gets transported the network key to the network. So now you are fully onboarded. The device then announces itself onto the network. After joining, the device is not required to replace its link key immediately. Instead, it acquires a token that can be used to perform authenticated renegotiation of its link key in the future. On this slide, we demonstrate a popular in-home use case. You can see a central hub, which may be supporting Zigbee Direct. More on that later. Normally connected to Zigbee devices like smart plugs, door locks, light bulbs in an ecosystem with cloud connection and additionally connected to a mobile phone. Here, you can see that device interview allows querying of devices before they are allowed to be part of the network. A joiner device, for argument's sake, the bulb, may be proactively filtered out based on the requirements imposed by the ecosystem. So like the device type or stack revision, etc. What this does is it further enhances security of the commissioning process by conducting an exchange of controlled and encrypted data between the trust center and the device joining the network. Also, you can use this as a method for securely upgrading firmware for devices on a specific ecosystem. And it allows the device to be authenticated by cloud services. With that, I would like to move on to frame counter synchronization. Frame counter synchronization is a mandatory requirement for all Zigbee 2023 devices. Zigbee uses frame counter for frame freshness checks. Let's have a look at this in greater detail. Let's consider two nodes on the network. One is an initiator and the other a responder. So let's assume that a link has been established between the initiator and the responder. All communication is good. The frame counters are good. Everything is working as you expect, right? And this has an incoming frame counter of 3. The frame counters and everything is valid, so no issues, right? So at some point, a reboot happens, and you lose your incoming frame counter for the initiator, right? Once on receiving a APS encrypted frame and unable to validate the incoming frame counter, this message gets dropped and it won't get acknowledged on reception. It won't even get an APS ACK back. Okay, so the device which has been rebooted has lost the knowledge of incoming frame counter and will use the network encrypted ZDO message to challenge the initiator to verify the latest cryptographic data. The initiator will respond to this challenge and send its latest frame counter value. This will synchronize the frame counter, and normal communication can then begin. So at this point, the frame counter is now valid, and you have synchronized your frame counter. Okay. With that, I would like to discuss a bit on another important addition to 2023, which is sub-gigahertz. Zigbee has always supported sub-gigahertz, but a major successful launch and deployment happened in 2017 in the Great Britain smart energy market. Zigbee 2023 provides additional support for European Union and North American regional bands. This will be a huge boost to these markets with increased range and performance. The specification here takes into account the concept of duty cycling, listen before talk to perform carrier DC operation, and a whole sets of optimization to comply with the regional restrictions. We'll discuss more about sub-gigahertz and certification and its rebanding in the future webinars. But for now, it's sufficient to say that sub-gigahertz delivers a reliable, ultra-low, cost-effective option for large mesh networks. It delivers substantial improved range while passing through walls and bending around obstacles more efficiently for EU and North American regions, and is a proven technology already in the Great Britain utility market. It is a hugely valuable extension of Zigbee standard for commercial, industrial, and residential applications. With that, I would like to pass on with the mic to Arash Honabach. Take on, Arash.
Thank you, Faisal. So also a warm welcome from me. Yeah, so we heard a lot about security features in 2023 and sub-gigahertz. And I would also like to highlight some of the, let's say, second row security features maybe, which are less complex, way less complex than the say dynamic link key negotiation, but provide a lot of value for already deployed networks and future networks. And these three, or let's say four, main security improvements are on one hand the smart energy key management improvements, then the trust center Swapout that we heard about already a bit, and then secure channel and PAN ID changes, as well as the restricted mode. Yeah, so secure channel and PAN ID changes, this gives a greater control to the network manager to prevent, let's say, unnecessary change of channels or PAN ID. So you can imagine this works like arming the network for a imminent change of either channel or PAN ID. And PAN ID in this sense is the short 16-bit network discriminator, if you will, that discerns co-located Zigbee networks. And obviously this number sometimes can clash with another nearby network if two networks come into reach of each other and happen to have the same PAN ID. So that would, let's say, justify a channel change and also a change of channel if there is network manager detects there is too much interference. It could tell the devices to change channels. And with Zigbee 2023, it can do so in a very secure way by first announcing this imminent channel change or PAN ID change, notifying all the devices on the network, preparing them, and then switching the network to either a new channel or a new short network identifier. Next slide, please. Yeah. Smart energy key improvements. So these have been designed as, let's say, already starting in, I think, 2015, 2016, when Zigbee 3 was conceived. We had on the roadmap the convergence of all the Zigbee profiles, and for security reasons, smart energy has been, let's say, a bit on the sideline in this integration or a single profile unification effort. And with Zigbee 2023, we've actually laid the groundwork such that smart energy devices and Zigbee 3 devices can coexist and can, let's say, share a single Zigbee network at the network layer, while still allowing the smart energy devices, which typically have a higher level of security than, let's say, classic Zigbee 3 devices. Like they use certificates to get onto the network for identity. And those can now coexist. And it is possible that smart energy devices that join, let's say, a Zigbee network can query the trust center to learn about other devices on the network, like what is, let's say, the level of security that a certain other device on the network provides. How did it join the network? Did it use the smart energy install codes? Did it use a certificate-based key exchange to get onto the network? Did it later upgrade maybe to another APS security level using a key exchange? So all this information can be queried from authorized devices by, let's say, interrogating the trust center once they are on the network. And so, let's say, sensitive information that is for, let's say, billing purposes is shared in a secure way with devices that are authorized to receive such information. And maybe some, let's say, less sensitive information, maybe a current meter reading or something like that, can be shared with other devices. And so you have a real, let's say, consolidation of all the Zigbee profiles, including smart energy now. Yeah, restricted mode is a means by which devices on the network can be locked down in the sense that only the trust center is allowed to alter the state of the device. And by state, we refer to certain Zigbee features at the, let's say, base device level. For example, bindings, for example, leaving the network, another, let's say, configuration that has been done via ZDO commands, for example, in the past. And those can be restricted to be only allowed by the trust center. So, for example, it's not possible once the device is in this restricted mode, it is not possible for, let's say, an arbitrary device on the network to manipulate binding tables. It can still query the bindings and show them somewhere and then a user interface, for example, but it cannot make changes unless it's using the right security. So this, let's say, is coming from the trust center. It is possible to disable and enable this restricted mode. So if, let's say, a system wants can, disable restricted mode for a certain period of time, such that, for example, finding and binding can be done in a distributed way, but it is then in a controlled time window. And other than that, it can also be enabled once after joining, and then it remains in restricted mode, and all the changes can only be done from the trust center. That will be a hub-centric approach of using this feature. And even in distributed security networks, this is useful. Then it is less of a security feature, but more of a feature that prevents inadvertent changes. I assume you have, for example, remote control that allows creating bindings or making changes to devices, and you just want to, let's say, prevent that, some unintended touching of those buttons would cause a reconfiguration in the bindings. And so that can be, let's say, by default disabled, or restricted mode can be enabled by default, even in the distributed network. And then only when you actively want to do some configurations, you would disable restricted mode on those devices that you want to reconfigure. Yeah, another very important feature for the reliability and for, let's say, limiting the amount of support and maintenance is Trust Center Swapout feature. This is something that has existed in the smart energy profile, and this is where that, let's say, concept is coming from. And in Zigbee 2023, we have taken this from smart energy, have also, let's say, made some improvements and consolidation, and brought it into the core specification. And this feature allows to replace a broken trust center. So assume that you have a trust center, and at some point you store the parameters of that trust center in the cloud or somewhere, so that in case that the trust center at some point suffers from a catastrophic failure, you can just bring in this second trust center. The devices will detect that the old one is gone, and they will start scanning for the network. The old network will be gone, so there is a new short network identifier with the old existing enhanced or let's say extended network identifier, so that network will be found, but it will use a different PAN ID and it will use a different network key. And so the devices understand that they need to perform a trust center rejoin, so-called trust center rejoin. So they start scanning, they join the new trust center with a trust center rejoin, and they use the trust center uses a hash of the previous, let's say, security material. It's not using it doesn't have to have the full knowledge of of all the APS keys that were previously used. All it has, or all the copy, this backup copy contains, is a hash of those keys, so that this security material cannot be leaked in the backup process. So, but once that the device appears on the trust center with a rejoin request, the trust center will send the new network credentials encrypted with this hashed APS trust center link key. And the joining device will understand that, yes, the trust center has, let's say, been exchanged, has been swapped for a new device, and it can then resume a network operation without having to recommission all the devices that have been installed behind walls and ceilings, somewhere, let's say, at hard to reach places. So this is a fully automatic process once the new trust center comes up and runs on the, let's say, on site. Some other things that we did in 2023 is to improve the robustness of the Zigbee network, the resilience to certain things that can happen. We have taken, let's say, learnings from field deployments and at various places and improved the stack in many aspects. So one thing is the harmonized link quality assessment. So if there are, let's say, you are a device and you're looking at your neighbors and would like to understand what is the quality of the radio link between me and my neighbor X, my neighbor Y. Previously, that was somewhat, let's say, undefined or vendor specific. And it could lead to different readings when using different platforms, different stacks. So even with the same, let's say, conceived quality or perceived quality and the same distance, same link budget, once, let's say, platform would provide a value of 128 as a super good link, whereas the other would say, yeah, it's 250 it's a perfect link. And what we did here is to define or better define the, let's say, numeric representation of what is a good link, what is a bad link, and also what factors should be used so that in the end you have better comparable results. And based on this, we also updated the routing metrics. So what is let's say, a link cost of 1, of 2, and how does it sum up to give a path cost? And choose the best route along, let's say, a certain number of nodes in the network. And as I said, we addressed certain feedback from field deployments that is, for example, related to route repair. What, let's say, conditions should cause a route repair if broken link is detected? How do you convey this in a way that is, let's say, cross-vendor and doesn't, let's say, lead to results where, it works within a certain, let's say, vendor's stack solution. But then if you have another one, then the two stacks don't understand maybe these routing errors and or act differently. And this has been clarified and improved a lot. And we also future-proofed routing messages. So we tested in 2023 that it is possible to add the TLVs, this new overarching concept that is being used throughout the stack for security, but also now for efficient, let's say, piggybacking, so that we could, in the next revision in R24, what it is going to be called, we could add new routing improvements and further, let's say, optimize this. Then we also formalized parent selection when joining and rejoining a network. How do you select the neighbors that are present on site? Let's say, what metrics, in which order? Again, there has been, let's say, this has been part of the secret sauce of stack vendors, which has been a way to differentiate, but it also, let's say, has been or could have been, let's say, a reason for interoperability issues and, let's say, suboptimal rejoining performance. So that's something that we have reorganized and formalized and prescribed certain things and how to do things to give a good, let's say, user experience. And then in addition, we also standardized network level retries. So you have all the MAC layer retries on the short time base, then you have the network level retries, which are essential for a good multi-hop performance, or in case of, let's say, a busy medium and so on, things that many stacks had, but they were not tested, they were not, let's say, formalized. Again, this has been some cleanup work and additional improvements that are available out of the box by upgrading to R23 today. And then along similar lines, for CPN devices, we have introduced more reliable data polling. So in the past, it could have been that a device wakes up, calls for data, but doesn't find, or maybe there was some radio problem and it went back to sleep. And now you have a bit more, let's say, aggressive polling, but still accounting for battery life optimization. And so this has been improved in this area as well. And another one, which in the past has been, let's say, not prescribed very well, is the usage of APS acknowledgements. This is now, let's say, in all places that affect the stack. So all the onboarding and also during the new dynamic link key and device interview stages, every message is APS acknowledged or sent with a acknowledge request. Which means that if there are some let's say node failures and the routes have to be refreshed, the stack can do this automatically. Device manufacturers are not, let's say, are not burdened with having to do retries at another level and so on. So this has been also made more consistent. So finally, Zigbee Direct. I think some weeks back we had, or months back, we had a webinar for the launch. With Zigbee 2023, this work on Zigbee Direct has been merged into the mainline Zigbee specification, and it's also being, let's say, hosted now in the Zigbee PRO working group. And Zigbee Direct is a really important new feature of Zigbee that provides a last hop over a Bluetooth low energy link. So with this, you can basically connect from a mobile phone to a Zigbee Direct enabled device, ZDD, which acts as sort of an access point into the Zigbee network in a standardized way. So what is being exchanged over this Bluetooth link are Zigbee network layer messages, and the device that's on your mobile phone or a PC or a smart speaker is a fully fledged Zigbee device. And this can be used for onboarding and commissioning, so like scanning a QR code and steering the, let's say, Zigbee device to the right network, even without opening the network. So you can do out-of-band commissioning and things like that. But you can also use it to control. So you can, let's say, create entry-level systems that work without a hub. So just with your phone and the number of Zigbee devices, actually a single one is sufficient. You can connect from your phone and control the Zigbee Direct device. But not only that, any device that is then Zigbee on the Zigbee network can be controlled by the tunneling service that the Zigbee Direct device provides. So you can control your lights, your thermostats, you can create groups, scenes, create bindings between a switch and a light, for example, set up a scene that can be recalled from a switch, all without a hub. And the good thing is, once maybe you upgrade or would like to integrate this with a home automation system, all these devices can just move to that system, or that existing system can be augmented with a hub by adding a hub via Zigbee Direct, for example. So this is a very powerful and very useful new feature, which I think enables a lot of use cases and will also open new markets for Zigbee deployments. And with that, I would like to pass the ball to Jeannie again.
Thanks, Arash. So just in summary, wanted to go through a couple more things, more specifically how Zigbee Pro 2023 addresses the different target audiences in the industry and the users. So one of the things that is, of course, important is security has been a major focus in the industry in general. So the Zigbee Pro 2023 release is very timely to continue to address new security standards and address the modern day threats. Security is really not something that is once and done. It is an ongoing effort, and the Zigbee Working Group and the Connectivity Standards Alliance put a lot of focus on this, and it's seen through this release. Of course, security improvements affect all the different audiences, including the developers. So now you can provide more secure solutions for your customers. The installers can have more strength in the solutions that they install for their customers. And of course, consumers can have the peace of mind that their IoT devices and networks are secure. A couple other major things, of course, is the Bluetooth Low Energy has become almost the de facto method, as Arash was saying, for like onboarding devices. So now with Zigbee Direct, it delivers that benefit for the Zigbee networks. Specific features like the Trust Center Swapout are also very, very useful because they really simplify the maintenance of existing networks. Again, if you look at the fact that Zigbee has been around for almost 20 years, there are a lot of existing established networks on the market. So this feature has a lot of benefits for both professional and residential installations. The integration with smart energy allows the important exchange of energy information and consumption, and that helps with the global drive for sustainability and energy conservation. Moving on. So one of the questions that we wanted to address, or one of the topics we wanted to address, is how does Zigbee Pro 2023 really impact your current and your future products? So we really see this as 3 different categories. And the first one is your existing Zigbee 3.0 or older products on the market. So your current products that either are already operating on the market or are ready to be sold can continue to exist and be sold as they exist today. Again, because Zigbee will continue to remain backward compatible, and we have put proper controls to allow users to understand when they connect to older devices. This supports this backwards compatibility and allows for new products to have increased security and implement more of the Zigbee Pro 2023 features. So again, the existing products on the market will continue to exist. New products can be added as needed. If you are looking to update your current Zigbee 3.0 products, you can. So if you are looking to release a new version of Zigbee 3.0 product, we do encourage you to use the latest network stack from your provider, and that is Zigbee Pro 2023, so that you can start implementing some of these features, learning some of these features, and this will require recertification of the device if it's a new one. And then, of course, as you're building your next generation Zigbee products, you should always choose the latest technology stack, so the Zigbee Pro 2023 with the new features, and then go through the regular certification process for that. So Zigbee is a mature technology, has been mentioned several times. It is definitely in a different point in its life cycle from other technologies, and a large amount of major brands on the market have utilized this technology and continue to develop with it. And of course, with it being market proven, reliable, and standardized, we want to invite you to continue to develop with Zigbee. Join us in the Connectivity Standards Alliance to work on the specification. And with that, I think we are ready to turn it back over to Q&A.
Thank you, Jeannie. Before we move into Q&A, I just want to remind you that if you're interested in learning more or joining us, you can reach out to us by visiting the Alliance website at csa-iot.org, or ask questions and get in touch by reaching out to us at help@csa-iot.org. Thank you again to our speakers for taking the time to speak more on Zigbee Pro 2023.